that match is a game where Alaba is overwhelmed on that side. Then Nacho comes in due to David's injury. I've had time to look it up. Indeed, Alaba was the left back in that match where Liverpool started winning 2-0. With mistakes from Courtois and an Alaba who was being overwhelmed by Mo Salah. He was the left back. Nacho comes in and things change. If you add to that the injuries he's had, poor recovery from the psychological aspect, scoring own goals, not being sharp and such, it's a ticking time bomb. Well, here we are with Kike Recio from Madridismo al Día. Kike, how are you? Very good, man. Well, what a Monday, huh? The lead up to the most important match of the season so far, but we are coming off possibly the worst part of the season, which was this Saturday, right? Well, yes, very good, Miguel. Thank you once again for having me. And the term Black Monday for Madridismo also applies. We are at a point where, honestly, on a hangover level from what we experienced, well, I noticed hortense or low spirits, depending on how each person handled the sports frustration, right? Of seeing Real Madrid's situation, particularly in the league. But, well, there is a magical thing that Real Madrid has, and although we will analyze many things, certainly the ability of metamorphosis that Real Madrid has compared to any other team, with Ancelotti involved, no other team has. Come on. I don't know any team except Real Madrid that has this ability to transform and break the theory of communicating vessels. Exactly. In fact, I was going to say that because I know that if we start this way, there are going to be people who say, you're being pessimistic? What do you mean by a Black Monday? What do you mean by bad feelings? Well, no. Obviously, there have been until now. What happens is that Madrid and Madrid supporters have this ability that when tomorrow, the famous Toshak phrase, in the end, the same 11 bastards, all that. But when tomorrow we are already in Champions mode,
the man is lost to us.
Exactly. The Champions League anthem plays and we forget everything. But we shouldn't forget how the game was played on Saturday, which was ultimately a consequence of everything we've been seeing for a long time. The pitcher goes so often to the well that in the end it breaks. And all those cliches, well, then they crystallize in... That's why they are cliches, right? Because they have happened many times. Applicable, of course. And for Real Madrid, it's like you mess around in the matches, awful first halves and all that. In the end, this happens to you. We'll get to that soon, to how Madrid will be against Arsenal. From the left, Alaba there. Oh my. It could be. Do you remember the other day? I'll open a small parenthesis. We talked about the lineup that Miguelito from the Coop Network gave, and we're not entirely sure about it, but we said, watch out, because he usually gets things right. He mentioned Alaba on the left. We have to keep that in mind because it might happen. Anyway. I want to start with you on the topic of Vinícius, and I'm hearing things that are very alarming to me. There's the issue of the whistles, which I think is being blown out of proportion, because I was at the Bernabeu, and it didn't seem scandalous to me like when Cristiano Ronaldo or Zidane were sometimes booed, and I heard it with my own ears. There, which was a considerable part of the stands. I didn't see anything like that the other day either, but of course, out of 70,000 people, if 200, 300 whistle already... fun, and in various parts of the field you can hear whistles naturally, but it is a minuscule percentage. But it is true that there are people who are waiting for Vini. They can't stand him because they think they are going to be robbed. And well, we already know how it is. Like if he protests, like if I don't know what, I mean, sometimes he just stands still in certain situations where he might as well keep running and all. But I think it's people who don't quite see the full picture of what it is, what Vinícius means for this Real Madrid, of the number of matches he has lifted, of the number of matches he has won, of the 2 goals in the 2 Champions League finals, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Do you think we should worry about this? Or are you somewhat in my line? That for the moment, it's not. It's not quite like that. I'm not worried about the booing in the historical sense of the word. More or less loud booing, as you rightly say, Miguel, you were there. It is true that on Movistar, it was very loud. For whatever reason, it was heard quite clearly. In that case, I will tell you something. I believe that from a historical point of view, it doesn't have any importance because we have seen multiple cases of super top players in the history of Real Madrid who have been booed. It's something natural that has happened. Simply, I base this on the historical fact of Real Madrid. From there, in an ideal world, what would it be? The ideal world would be where people neither protest nor boo, and much, much less, that's a whole other level, insult. Some people insult, go to the fields, and dedicate themselves to showing their frustration. But within the order of booing, and exclusively booing, it's something that has happened. It doesn't worry me. It's not something that worries me because, first, usually the one who is whistled at is the one from whom much is expected. Normally, the players from whom less is expected are whistled at. He is usually criticized, but not booed loudly or noticeably in the stadium. There are two cases. One is Lucas Vázquez and the other is Vinícius. Much more is expected from Vinícius than from Lucas Vázquez because Vinícius is much better. Of course, who do you demand from? The star player. Well, from there, Vinícius has something that is marvelous, which is shot-cutting, raising people up on the field in football. And some will say to me, but how? What more do you want? He already provided 2 assists the other day, scored a goal and all that. Keep improving. I always have the feeling with Vinícius that he is an element of constant improvement. He is still young, though not so much anymore, but he always puts...
he has proven it.
The player who has improved the most, as Valdano said today, is almost a unique thing in the history of football. Precisely. And in relation to that, and especially with Valdano involved, it makes even more sense. That is to say, he is a guy who understands evolution as something natural, evolving his football. There are aspects where he can surely improve. He is not at his best in control, movements, understanding of the game, and application of precision, which was never his strong suit, now perhaps even more imprecise, if anything. He still manages frequency, but he is not, let's say, the Vinícius. In terms of the standard precision, we know he's a bit worse and makes poorer decisions. Still, of course, he's a Kise. He's so good and so exceptional that he can score top goals, top assists. But obviously, I do believe that people understand that something is happening. And I also think that there are people influenced by the media, by journalists. It's a whirlwind, a mix of everything in the whole world. So this is what I think is happening. Now then, I don't see myself in the position to give lessons on how people should react, what they should do. I'm seeing a lot on social networks like Bernabeu is this. From a viewpoint that's almost disrespectful, damn, the Bernabeu. Over time, I see a more or less similar audience profile. It does change a bit for the Champions League. This has always happened because of the foreign audience that usually shows up. But generally speaking, in the last 10 years, I have seen Casillas get booed. Boo Cristiano, boo Vinícius, previously Zidane. I've seen it all. So, it's not surprising, not notable in the sense that here they'll make a big deal or a tragedy out of it. The majority of Madrid supporters love Vinícius. Social media is not all of Madrid supporters. It's just a part. And there are people who obviously right now, well, check out, they'll say Vinícius is the worst in the world, and then people will change. Because the public, Miguel, is also, and we ourselves are very changeable. We flow, we drift from one side to the other. It's natural. But anyway, I am not worried about the strictly football-related issue of Vinícius. Yes, about the overall football aspect, including Vinícius. That worries me much more.
And now we talk about soccer. But I think
there has been a trend in the media for quite some time. The other day, a column by Alfredo Relaño, yesterday's special program on El Chiringuito, which to me all seems overacted, overblown, it doesn't seem like a big deal, and besides, I'm on your side here, it used to be booed intensely. I mean, come on. It's not something extraordinary in the sense of, this guy, the one at Bernabeu, doesn't like him, right? Please. I mean, I said it in a previous video. I mean, yes, there were 4 that were booing, 4 or 400 that were booing. Yes, now, okay. Regarding Vinícius' playing, let's see. What do you think? That it doesn't bother me sometimes when Vinícius, he does strange things or that shot. I have never really liked Vinícius' shot. Okay, be careful, it has improved a lot. But sometimes when he positions himself and sends it to the third tier, well, it can happen in a game that he sends it to the third tier 3 times, but then he scores a goal, then he makes one of those runs where he reaches the end line and makes that magical play that is wonderful, leaving the defender with a broken hip and generating a lot of actions there. I mean, the worth of Vinícius, I insist, sometimes he makes decisions that I say, but I know that he will try 7 more times and give me 3 goal-scoring plays. He is a special footballer in that because he is different from everyone else. Yes, I mean, he's a player fully dissident of the tactic. He's a footballer who he lives a bit on the edge of tactical law, of positioning, and in that disorder and chaos that sometimes seems to make his football generate that chaos within the fan. He is much more imprecise in game calculation and precision than Mbappe. But the other day, Mbappe missed more than a fairground rifle. Did the people boo Mbappe? I practically didn't hear any booing at Mbappe. Why didn't they boo Mbappe but did boo Vinícius? Well, this is a question each person has to ask themselves. I think the substantial difference is that he missed the penalty. And besides, I do believe there is an atmosphere that can contaminate a certain sector of Madrid fans because a part of the press is indeed going fiercely against Vinícius Jr. But it is clear that Vinícius, I insist on the comparison with Mbappe, as I am very pro Mbappe, but Mbappe is much more precise and calculated in his game. Vinícius, who is much more disorganized in every sense, but precisely like everything in life. Miguel in moderation. Well, is both good and bad. The disorder creates chaos in the opponent as well, and Vinícius is the best expert in generating tactical chaos for the opponent too. Notice that in the matter of the penalty, I'm there. I mean, for me, it's a separate issue, and I believe it's not just Vinícius' problem, it's the coach's problem for not establishing order there, and also Mbappe's for not saying, hey, come on, I'm the specialist, I'll take it. And then that silly business in the locker room of, I don't have an ego. You neither, what little friends we are, come on, we'll take turns. That needs to end now. I separate that from the work issue already. Vinícius, I mean, Mbappe should take the penalties, gentlemen. I mean, Vinícius doesn't take them all that badly, but here the one who takes them the best is the Frenchman, right? Well, it must be said that, for example, the voice of Real Madrid, a big hug to Aurelio Toral, who is an amazing guy, said on social media, an analysis done by a guy, an expert in the field, who analyzed how Vini takes penalties. And the truth is that, speaking of calculation, it was quite easy to figure out where he was going to kick by his movements. The Luis Lopez of the moment in a professional team will have to work on it. So it is true. And I go back to the same point, and I'm sorry for comparing with Mbappe, but it's true that as attackers, Mbappe might be somewhat less predictable in taking penalties and executes them better than Vinícius. Although it must be said that both have missed penalties, and it's normal to miss penalties. Mbappe has missed penalties too, with a very unclear and terrible mindset at those moments. And Vinícius too. Cristiano Ronaldo has missed them, and everyone has missed penalties. It's true that some people miss more and others less. What I am sure of, and I agree with you and Iñaki Angulo and with the majority, is that I think we creators think this way. And we said it a while ago, the coach has to have the ability to command operations, even in this, the egos. You take it. You are the leader for penalty kicks. It is your responsibility whether you miss or score. We support you, we are with you, but that can't be the narrative. Easy of not taking hierarchy. And what we say is that sometimes group management is very good, in the sense of letting players sort things out a bit, but there are things where you have to take charge as a coach. And in these matters, it's one of the several where Ancelotti has made the decision to manage yourselves. And we keep watching, and then I say one thing and then another, which is also very much like Ancelotti, by the way. Hey, since we're in express mode, we have about 7 or 8 little minutes left quickly. Let's see, Madrid is already in London, partly against Arsenal, very complicated, although Arsenal is missing people. We'll talk about Arsenal soon, but first, without Ceballos, it was already known he wouldn't be there, and if he was, he wouldn't be at 100% and wouldn't be a starter, but without Ceballos and without Tchouaméni. Which forces you, if you had thought of Camavinga as a left back, you can no longer consider that because you need him in the midfield. In any case, you also need Modric because it's likely that Valverde will go to right back, he should go to right back, and you will be short on midfielders. But then, on top of that, we have the problem of the left back. According to what Miguelito is saying on Cadena Cop Asia, it is very likely to be Alaba. Let's see what happens in the end, because Mendy is also out and they don't trust Fran. How do you see all that mix up? Because the defense is related to the midfield, since we all clearly understand the forward line. There's what I would do. Let's see. There's what I would do. Of course, then the Sheto is what I think here from the microphone, that everything is very easy and such, but what I think is more functional, and I refer to what I have seen this season, certainly is boost the 24-25 play of Valverde in the false right lane. And why do I say false right lane? Because today, a guy was telling me in a live stream, but Valverde, I mean, he has to go to his position, and taking him out of position is unnatural. Valverde is so capable of covering so much heat map that he occupies the right lane and midfield.
Just like that.
Valverde, as he positions himself in Madrid in that role, does not play as the typical wide open fullback. He is a fullback that also advances diagonally into the field. That is, he moves inward, and there he advances with, in this case, Luka Modric. Very likely. He can meet Bellingham in the 3/4. He can even meet Kama at a certain moment with Kamavinga. That is, he is not a typical fullback, so it is a corridor with a tendency to go inside, which is very Premier League-like. On the other hand, I see this sine qua non. Valverde, if Ancelotti wants to get out of London alive, Valverde has to play on the right flank, my opinion. And not just for Valverde, for Lucas too. No, it's clear for me, for all my colleagues, but for us, all the Madrid fans first. I don't manage the competitive alternative today. April 7th, better than that to go to the Emirates. Then, Fran Garcia, Alaba, obviously Camavinga, and Chouameni is not there. Camavinga will be with Modric, that's clear to us. Ceballos is not there either. So, is it Fran or Alaba? For me, the question should be Fran or Garcia, and I will say why. Here we have talked about whether you or Fran, which I think for these events meant they should have been dressed in a suit and tie and show up. He is not here nor expected for this match. So, you have to cover yourself. You need to cover the midfield with Camavinga. You can't cover the left side between Fran Garcia and Alaba. Well, Fran Garcia has been your most used fullback this season, and you have trusted him to handle the left side. Alaba, the thing is, today, if we say many, we try with respect, that he's a former player. He saw both in his original position, Genesis left back as a center. Why on the left back against? I don't care. Bukayo Saka might fall there. I don't know if Martinelli might fall at a certain moment. I don't know. I don't care. Against people with that potential, a guy who has played. How much has Alaba played as a left back in the last 3 or 4 years? I don't know. Someone give me the data. Memory?
At 20.
Liverpool, 2-5. Season 22-23. Alaba, where did he play that game? Left back. He got injured. Nacho came in. Vinícius equalized before, but since Nacho came in, everything stayed in a stronger defensive position because Nacho, who couldn't move up, at least defended. But I want to see the memory. Did Alaba play left back at the start of that match? Yes, but that's what they have told me. There, I'm not going to give myself a medal because today, during Madrid's little live stream, it's a good day at 2 in the afternoon, my followers informed me. Hey, Kike, Alaba played this match as a left back, and I didn't know. Let's see. I trust them. They can leave it in the comments, but they've told me that Alaba got injured in that match. Nacho came in later. The match where Vini smashed it, and Karim and Modric left that spectacular run. That match. It's a match where Alaba is overwhelmed by that side. Then Nacho comes in due to David's injury, and everything stabilizes a bit more because in the end, Nacho, like it or not, is a guy who has defensive tools. He won't advance, not that, but he's a guy who has discipline. So if you add to that the injuries he has had, the poor recovery psychologically, scoring own goals, not being sharp and such, it's like a ticking time bomb. Now, if what Ancelotti wants is to bring in Lucas, Alaba and say, look, with Lucas, with Alaba, by sheer determination, we're going to make it. And he achieves it, well, talk to me about the Sea Sailor. He will be holding bills against this one and that one. Because Ancelotti is also, hey, everything we do is human. In my live shows, I've held bills. This is very human. No? But the coach of Real Madrid, halfway through the season, I have seen him collecting debts. The coach of Real Madrid, not Miguel Serrano TV, and here, Recio Madrid curses TV, but Carlo Ancelotti, football legend. In the sense that I believe one should be a bit more cautious there, and he also has the experience. But anyway, what I want to say is that for me, Valverde is functional as a right wing back, accompanying Raúl Asensio, because every time we play without him, we lose. In the league, it has happened. Every time Asensio goes to the bench, we lose. Asensio, Rudiger. Left back, Fran Garcia, Camavinga. Modric double pivot. And in attack, we already know what will be there. Another one. I'm going to give you a very quick one. Bellingham, for me, like Kike Recio, I would love to see him as a 6 playing with Camavinga, but that's not going to happen. Like I said, yeah, but of course that involves changing a lot of things. I'm seeing it. I've had time to look it up. Indeed, Alaba was the left back in that match where Liverpool started by beating us 2-0 in February of 23 with mistakes from Courtois and an Alaba who was being overwhelmed by Mo Salah at the time. Totally. Mo Salah started that match dominating us badly, and look, he was a left back, Nacho. Nacho comes in and things change. Vinícius had already equalized. The cross goal knocked Alisson.
Correct.
And then he scored the one where Alisson hit Vinícius on the butt. And well, yes, it was a match where Vinícius and Nacho changed the turning point. Very well done by your people. Very well done by you for trusting them. It shows that you trust them, and it's a point. It's a fact. It's very important. To wrap up, dude, we're already at the 20 minutes we had set for this collaboration. Arsenal has many absences. Do you think it really changes the essence of this team and all that? I mean, if Madrid beats them, are we going to see an Arsenal that they're going to claim was just a weak team as always, or is it still a strong team? A very good team, because you're going to it's going to gather a lot of people inside, with Martin Odegaard moving out of the race clan. Mikel Merino can have a tremendous impact on second place, rebounds, and aerial situations. Let's see how Bukayo Saka is doing, who has had his troubles with physical issues, but he's a very competitive player, and even though he's not the Bukayo Saka of last year, he's a top player. And then for me, the key is Odegaard and the channels, especially the channel between Fran and Rudiger. I am very concerned that Odegaard will find it. Odegaard tends to play inside with his stronger foot on the opposite side. Not much. Well, finding those passes in those lanes is what worries me most about Odegaard. Es que there you can find the speed of Saka, of Martinelli, Veneri as well. Watch out for this kid who plays on the right lane. A team that, even if it has absences like Gabriel Magalhaes not being there, still has William Saliba, who for me is the top center back on a global level.
Miguel, I can't hear you. The mic.
It's true, damn it, man. These things happen to me too. In the beginning, and they're happening again now. This happened to me, yes. Hey, but, well, yours was tremendous last week. You didn't even remember we had the collaboration.
Or dream to.
Tomorrow we're together, right? Tomorrow we're together on your channel. Well, man, a big hug. A hug. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. Bye.